Hello guys, I'm back finally, right? Mars in Aries. Because Mars is all about the energy of doing, the masculine energy within, I would call Aries Mars aggressively direct. They are impulsive, explosive. This is raw energy meeting raw energy, so it's right at home here. You can move mountains like no other. Although halfway through you might decide, I'm bored. Moving to the next challenge. But as long as you don't call it quits, you can pretty much do anything. You probably find it easier to take action than other people do, and when other people are waffling back and forth, oh, I don't know, maybe, maybe not, it is very irritating, but on top of that, it's hard to understand. Because for an Aries Mars, it's just obvious. You want something, you do it. There's that connection that is instantaneous. When you think of a goal, you almost start acting before you even finish thinking up the idea. But this is not how it is for everyone else. When people go on complaining and complaining, this is extremely irritating for a Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries doesn't have time to complain. They're just too busy doing. Mars in Aries is also pretty simplistic. Usually they don't think about things that are out of their control. They worry about what is right in front of them. They're also not likely to think of too many goals all at once. They'll hone into one thing and then move on to the next thing. They're not usually great multitaskers, but that's okay because the one-track mind is a very masculine thing to do, and Mars is very masculine. One of your great traits is that you know how to live in the moment. That childlike energy that there have been so many books written about comes very naturally to you guys. You know how to have fun, embrace what's right in front of you. You also don't let things fester. You don't get irritated by something and then just let it seep through and mess up your whole internal psyche. If something's irritating you, everyone knows, and they know right away. I guess you could say you guys are Captain Obvious, but that's not such a bad thing, is it? Problems are a lot easier to handle when they begin so that they don't grow into something ridiculous. Action for you is action. It's not thought, it's not debate, it's not a puzzle, it just is action. Aries is fire, and so fire is all about action, movement. That's why Aries and Mars often can be adrenaline junkies because they love the physical movement. A lot of them never want to stop moving. Aries and Mars usually enjoys surprises, thrills, scares, sports, competition, and of course, Aries and Mars is usually very competitive in their career as well as sports, and they are fueled by a challenge. Although they're not usually going to overthink it or obsess about it because they're too busy just going. The challenge is not about the goal as much as it just is to constantly be on the move and have that adrenaline going through your veins. Which is why an Aries and Mars can give up on something, but also, once again, that's not such a bad thing because if you give up on a challenge that you're bored with, part of that whole living in the moment thing. For you guys, you know the truth about choices. That is not so much about what choice you make. I guess I'm speaking about Mars and Libras here, but it's just about making a choice. If you're sitting on the fence, nothing happens. You go nowhere. It's very hard for an Aries and Mars to deal with someone who doesn't speak their mind. If someone's like, oh, I don't know, it's really hard for an Aries and Mars not to just say, just come out with it. And truthfully, a lot of people don't know what they want. Once again, one of those things that Aries and Mars has naturally. Sexually, because of course, sexuality goes hand in hand with Mars. So yes, you guys are very Aries-like, sexually speaking. You go for something directly, what you want. You don't hang back. It's not a lot of foreplay. It's just kind of conquest, desire, dive in, and okay, there's a downside. It's usually kind of fast. Gotta work on the stamina. But there's also an innocence to an Aries, which is very playful and childlike. They are direct, and they do like to please, and they want to get things right. I guess it's not pleasing as much as it is just being competitive. They want to be able to say that they were your very best. They are always like a moth to a flame. When they have a desire, they go towards it without stopping, and they can get burned very, very harshly, especially based on other elements of your chart. If you have more sensitive, like a sensitive moon or something, your Mars in Aries can lead you towards the flame, and you can easily get burned. And when it burns, it is very hot and heavy, but it's also usually short-lived. And in bed, of course, they can be hot and heavy and sometimes selfish. At work and also in relationships, usually they enjoy little power plays back and forth. Nothing too severe or like intense, but just something kind of fun. Playing little pranks on each other back and forth. Little power battles or fights or conflict or yelling might actually be a turn on, depending on the other parts of your chart, of course. Aries in Mars is a fighter. When being first counts, they will always win. If we're talking about a marathon, yeah, they're probably not going to get anywhere near close to winning. But if it's a sprint, they're always going to win. One of the downsides of Aries and Mars is that they are attracted to what they can't have. They're like a kid in a candy store. If mom says, hey, you can have this sucker, I don't want the sucker though. I want that big jar of Twizzlers. Aries and Mars loves to be the hero. It's like that superhero of good versus evil. Makes everything so simple. Aries and Mars loves the simplicity of playing the hero. There's got to be a damsel in distress and they've got to swoop in and save them. If you are attracted to an Aries and Mars, then you don't have to sit and wonder and ponder. Are they interested in me? Because you're going to know instantly. Captain Obvious, remember? And if you are a woman with this placement, then Mars represents the kind of man you are attracted to. So you're probably going to be attracted to somebody who is very athletic, physically fit, masculine, someone who's a man's man, someone who likes sports or is an athlete, a stockbroker, the kind of guy who would have a very lusty bachelor party, like the classic bachelor party. And little fits of jealousy back and forth, probably what helps to keep the relationship going. You like winners, not losers. Heroes, guys that are strong when it counts. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed my take on Mars and Aries, and come back for Mars in Taurus.